Live on Facebook, Chef. So it says we will have Shannon tell us. Everybody, we are fingers crossed that we are live. I am looking in the group now to make sure this is happening. Fingers crossed, no whammies, no whammies. Everybody, welcome to Wednesday night. We have Chef Carmen Callo with Centerplate, Senior VP, Executive Chef, culinary with us. Chef, thanks so much for joining us.
It's my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Oh, this is awesome. Everybody, remember, a couple ground rules. There are no ground rules. But we do these live. We're on a little bit late because there's always a little technical difficulty that the technological gods throw our way. But we want you to interact. We want you to participate. So I've got my phone here, and hopefully we'll be able to see questions so that you are able to ask Chef questions along the way. If you've got thoughts or you wonder anything about him or his career or Centerplate or whatever, you're welcome to ask. And okay, let me just see if I can find it. Here, nope, that's not the one, but Shannon just loved. I think we're on live. Boom. All right, let me close the sound. Kaya says, I see you. Mary Margaret Dunn says, hi. Josh Callahan, looking good. We are on, Chef.
All right, let's do this.
We are the real deal. Okay, first of all, I can't thank you enough. You and I have known each other for, well, I mean, I think you're one of the first people I met like 11 years ago, 12 years ago when I got in the business. You were back then the executive chef at the Colorado Convention Center with Centerplate. Give us just a brief history, if you can, to everybody of your culinary career so they know some of your story and background.
Yeah, sure, absolutely. You know, it's interesting. I didn't know I was your first visit or that you were just getting into it.
You were one of my first visits, and you and Noel and Todd, and we were replacing Schaefer's. It was like hundreds of and like we were staging those things. I don't know if you remember, but I still have nightmares around it.
I bet you do. Yeah, so no, I've been with Centerplate, which is now a part of Sodexo, going on 18 years, believe it or not. Prior to that, you know, I'm a Johnson & Wales graduate. I spent a year in Providence, and then I did some time in Charleston, originally from Chicago, and worked in some country clubs and restaurants in Chicago, and then moved to Colorado on a whim, following a girl at the time, and ended up joining Adams Mark Hotels. I actually moved from Chicago to Grand Junction, Colorado. Had a bit of culture shock.
Man, no kidding.
But it was great. And then I ended up transferring with that organization up to Denver. They had, if you know, that the Sheraton in Denver was the old Adams Mark, big flagship hotel. And I spent a few years there. And then, you know, kind of on another accident, got introduced to the convention center and what was Volume Services at the time.
Okay.
And you know, I literally thought it was just going to be, you know, a stepping stone in between. It really wasn't what I wanted, but it seemed challenging and something unique and nothing I had done and volume. And I thought, well, you know, I'll see what it's all about, but I was really heading somewhere else. And here I am 18 years later, fell in love with it and have traveled all over the country, really the world. And yeah, moved up the ranks.
Awesome. What, so first, right now, what, you know, this is, we're talking about being power plants, motivating people, skills we use, tools we use to keep ourselves upbeat and positive and moving when life would otherwise feel like it's trying to slow us down or whatever. What's something, you've got a team of people under you. What's something that you're doing to keep your team going right now? You know, and try to maintain that energy to keep them hopeful and, you know, cranking and sticking together.
Yeah, you know, obviously this pandemic has hit our business pretty intensely, right? I mean, went from the high of hosting the Super Bowl in February down at Hard Rock Stadium, and then just, you know, halting business. So initially it was the shock, but communication. We started hosting, you know, these calls. It was a little awkward at first. Nobody wanted to turn on their camera, right? Now we're all pros at it. But you know, just keeping them informed, being transparent, trying to, you know, support one another. One of the things that I was really excited about and really proud that we did was prior to COVID, we're always looking for ways to get our chefs to engage and connect with one another. We always talk about the sharing of best practices and inspiring one another. So we were in the process of developing an internal recipe contest.
Cool.
And we do a culinary competition at our annual meeting, and we just wanted to do some more of that. So, at times we thought, oh, we're not going to do it. But we decided, no, you know what, we need to do this. And we literally just on yesterday on our all employee webinar, we announced the winners. So we had 12 chefs from across the country that were nominated by their peers and their superiors, and they competed in a recipe contest from afar, and they had to create a video and just kind of share their passion and put it out there, learn some new skills. And the feedback from the chefs, not only that were in the competition, but outside, has just been absolutely phenomenal. They needed a break from the COVID stress. They got back in the kitchen. They hadn't been cooking, got to get their creative juices flowing. So it really exciting. It was really fun to do and see their reaction.
Did you participate?
Well, I hosted and I was a judge.
Okay. Awesome. And are you guys going to post the recipes?
Yeah. So our communications team, they're working on, sharing them internally first, and then they are going to get them posted on social networks, LinkedIn, Facebook. I'm sure they all submitted some videos. So yeah, I'll absolutely share that with the group here once that comes out.
That would be so fun. It would be fun to try to replicate. I mean, I can't even imagine my version of trying to do what like you or any of your team members do. It would be absurd, but it would be good comedy. Humor is great for the psyche, and that might be what we produce. Do you have, if I were coming to your house tomorrow night, chef, do you have a signature dish that you're like, oh, people are coming, this is my go-to, this is my mind blown meal that I do?
Get that question a lot as chefs, right? What is the one thing, right? No, I mean, there's not one thing. I like to cook to my guests' appetite and what they like, and always asking them, you have an opportunity, hey, I'm happy to cook for you. What do you like? Maybe what's something that you love but you can't produce at home, or you had at a restaurant and you'd love to try and duplicate it. It all depends. In the summertime, I'm smoking out in the backyard. I've got a Traeger, and I've been working on that skill set. I love grilling. Just yesterday, part of the culinary competition, a lot of our chefs were using the sous vide cooking technique.
Yep.
And quite candidly, I don't have a lot of experience with that. And I just, talk about being inspired. My sous vide equipment arrived yesterday, and I did some steaks. So, I got to keep up with them. So
what will you do? Sous vide them and then just sear them, just finish them to give them some char at the end?
Yeah, exactly. Perfect medium rare all the way through. They were phenomenal.
Awesome. Okay, real quick, let me just see if there's any questions that I'm missing. We've got people watching. It's good. Everybody, again, thanks for joining us. We've got Chef Carmen Callo. You're here on the Foodservice Power Plant Network and sponsored by the amazing people at Cal Mill. Chef, the idea of cooking for a Super Bowl. I don't think I asked you this in pre-questions, but it just came up when you mentioned Super Bowl.
Sure.
Just give us an idea what that's like. Like, what kind of team do you have to assemble when you all are going to cook in Miami or San Francisco, wherever you do it? What is that experience like?
Yeah, well, I mean, as you can imagine, it's a massive undertaking, right? It's just, I mean, the planning starts a year and a half out on menu development, sourcing. As the event gets closer, we bring in different expertise, different support chefs. This particular Super Bowl, we had about 35 chefs that flew down to Miami to support the team's efforts. We're fortunate where one of our senior chefs is based out of Miami. So we have our senior chef Orlando and our executive chef Diani. You may or may not have seen her. She got some tremendous press, first female executive chef to host a Super Bowl. It's always, we're always trying to deliver foods that represent the city and fresh and what we're doing. So, but a ton of logistics, ton of planning. You know, outside the culinary, we have probably about 75 other managers that come in to help pull that off.
What weighs more on you, the stress and the anxiety, or the excitement of what you're a part of and the buzz and the energy being with your team?
I mean, it's hard to describe. This was my second Super Bowl. So the first one that I participated in was in San Francisco at Levi Stadium.
Okay.
The energy, the excitement, I mean, it's overwhelming. I mean, you grow up, right, watching the Super Bowl. You know, as our companies, I think our 15th Super Bowl. So we had chefs that were supporting us at, you know, this was their 6th Super Bowl. You know, so I mean, the excitement is overwhelming, but just being there, keeping the team together, keeping their excitement, you know, keeping everybody organized, everybody on track with the task at hand. Yeah, I mean, it's an unbelievable experience. Never forget it.
Oh, so cool. Kaya says Super Bowl was epic this year. Centerplate glue was amazing. Never forget it. Paul Fuller wants to know what brand of sous vide equipment.
Oh, I just got the a Nova. I think it's a Nova, right? I got the thing. Yeah, a Nova Pro.
Nova Pro.
A
Paul,
Nova
there you
Pro.
go. Never heard of it, but I'm sure it's great.
Yeah.
Shannon says camping sous vide. My wife, that'd be fun to sous vide. Taz is on. My light just went off, just, you know. So if I'm darker right now and then, you know, and slowly through the interview, it gets darker, then I'll just like phone in if I need to. It'll be great. Tell us about, you're one of the more organized people I've ever met. When I would walk into, so everybody knows, anytime I would walk into Chef's office, there was always a moment of just being awestruck that like everything is in a perfect spot. Is that something that you've always been? Have you always been just organized? Things are efficient. I don't even know if it's a little OCD, but I've never been in an office anywhere in my life that was as put together as yours.
Yeah, no, I mean, not all my life. I think it grew as the position grew and the need for the organization grew. I mean, you're working on so many things when you're in that environment. You're working with groups that are, you know, 24 months out, 16 months out, 12 months out, you know, so you've got all this information, you know, a massive team, a massive forecast of events that are coming, you know, so out of necessity, just had to get more and more and more organized. And then, you know, in order to execute the events, you know, in order to get food for 10,000 people from point A to point B on time, fresh, hot, and serve it and have enough, not run out, not overproduce. I mean, it's a logistical challenge. I mean, that's one of the things I just fell in love with, right? It was always how do you do that? How do you get yourself organized? Every time you had an issue, you learned a system, you put something in place, and then you had to manage all those systems.
You seem like someone, anytime I've worked with you, who has the ability to keep a pretty good level of composure. You always seem pretty steady when we work together. Is that true in those moments when you're trying to get 10,000 meals out? And if that's what's true and what you're showing to your team, is that the same thing that's happening inside of you?
Yeah, no, that's definitely a developed skill over time, right? So if you ask people that worked with me, you know, 10 years ago, you know, it was the hothead, the temper, or just always, you know, maybe losing my composure and just recognizing that really wasn't going to lead to long-term success, and having to make the conscious effort to really work on that, and then hide it, right? I mean, there were times when, you know, you don't hold all the answers, nobody does, but you know, you can't show that, right? Just keep your composure. And I remember, you know, early on having the goal of, okay, I want to get through this show and, you know, not have a moment of, you know, of losing that composure. And, you know, the 4-day show, day 3, oh man, I messed up, right? But, you know, just regroup and make it. And then the next show, all right, let's get through the whole show and just constantly working on it. You know, when you're stressed and if you're exuding that and you lose your composure, the whole team just feeds off you immediately. Yep. And then it was so hard to get them back on track. So I would say it was a conscious, it was a lot of work and effort to do that and get there.
Oh, way to go. I don't know
Yeah.
that most people can have that goal and get there. Some might just say, oh, it's who I am. It's my personality, but you found a way to gain control over that and steer it the direction you needed.
Yeah.
You've got, um, in the last few years, when did you take from being the executive chef, Centerplate Convention Center, you took your first step up within the organization. Tell us about that process, sort of how that came about. And you've elevated a few times since then.
Yeah. So, oh God, I think in 2008, I became the executive chef.
Okay.
And I had transferred back to that property in, I believe, the end of 2006. And I was the executive sous chef for a couple of years.
Okay.
And then I took on the exec chef role, and I was in that role until 2017. So there was an opportunity. Our company was going to basically reinstitute a corporate executive chef position, a VP of culinary. We had some people in a previous role that was, a little bit different. And I had been in the role for, many years, and I thought it was kind of the next evolution. It was exciting because, hey, there was some new growth opportunity. And I thought it was going to be one heck of a challenge. And I've worked best under pressure. And so I went for it. And I took on that role during our company's annual meeting in March of 2017.
Okay.
Yeah. And then just recently at the beginning of this year, so I took on the position of vice president, corporate executive chef. And at the beginning of this year, right after the Super Bowl, right before COVID hit, I took another promotion to senior vice president with the company and maintain the corporate executive chef position. So it's been a wild ride, but it's been great.
What's what's the new challenge with that senior vice president title that you didn't have prior? Like, what did you take on, or what challenge did you get to try to tackle now?
Well, I joined our executive committee of our other senior leaders, and help steer the organization and really share what the culinary vision is and get their buy-in and their support, and help us grow the business and elevate the culinary offering that we're doing. It's a lot of continuing to hire and attract chefs, implementing our training programs, but the next evolution was really joining that executive committee, and really looking at the big picture of the whole company and how it all comes together and supporting our vision and where we're going.
Good for you. Are you a goal person? Are you someone who sets goals, sits down, thinks about it, writes them out?
Absolutely. All the time.
Is there a time of year you do that typically? Are you like at the beginning of the year? Or are you constantly thinking, you know what, here's something I want to pursue. Here's where I want to get.
I think sometimes throughout the year, I set some personal goals as far as career goals. This position, when I interviewed for the corporate chef position, I came with what was my 10-year vision of the role and what I was going to do, with obviously a huge focus on the first three. So, I mean, a lot of things take a lot of time to develop and get the buy-in. And then, some of the stuff is culture that you're trying to change or influence. So, I mean, I have goals that I set when I took on the role that are still out there. Sure. They've evolved, and, you constantly adjust and change, but there's not a specific time. It just depends on what's happening. And obviously goals had to change with COVID. I was able to bring on team members a year ago that changed goals and what we were going to do with all of them. So as needed, and then I keep track of the long-term goals and adjust those as necessary. But absolutely, I've been goal setting for a long time.
I love it. Was there a moment in time for you in your life where, real quick, let's see if anybody else has questions. Shannon Solomon says, you are a superhero. Now, there's the potential that she was saying that to me, but I seriously doubt it. I have a feeling that's about you.
I'm pretty sure it was you.
Chef Paul Huddleston, he's the chef down at CU. You know Chef Paul?
Of course.
Says, hey, guys. Chef says, you've always been a great chef, always calm. So true. And now you're the man. Congrats, Chef. Josh Callahan asks, do you use any apps to track your goals?
No. I'm a list guy, and you know, if people that know me or have worked with me, you know, will see I'm like, I create the box. I want to check the box off. I go through my pads of paper and just constantly redo the list, reprioritize, and then I have a separate one that's my goals that I so no app, nothing fancy.
Okay.
Maybe I should investigate it, but no.
I need to think about it too. I hadn't thought about that either. That's a cool idea, Josh. Janelle's watching, Greg's watching, everybody. Thanks for joining us. You know, one of the things that is so fascinating about you is knowing some of your personal story. And it's easy to look at someone's career and watching them elevate and take on new challenges and set goals and accomplish them and elevate new titles and new roles and think that, oh man, you know, their personal life just must be all buttoned up and solid for them to accomplish and tackle all these things. But the truth of the matter is that when you took that next step from the convention center, 2017, you had a lot going on in life.
Oh yeah.
And you and your wife were going through a lot, and we had talked about this. We've talked about it a couple times in the last few years, but we talked about it again last night. Would you mind? And this is just great for anyone watching. It's so important to believe, to understand that everyone's got stuff, right? We all have stuff, and even in the midst of that stuff, can we find a way to work through those and do that with integrity and everything we have, and still accomplish things over here, whatever that is? Do you mind just telling us some of what was going on with you and your wife and your family back 4 years ago?
Sure. Yeah. You know, unfortunately, like so many people that I hear, well, I met my wife and we got married in 2008. She worked at the convention center. She was a director of catering sales and planned events. So she was in the business. She understood what I was doing. And she left the convention center right when we got married. She was going to school. She became a dental hygienist. So she's out of the business. And that was probably best for us. But, you know, a couple years later, we started to try and start a family. And like so many, we were faced with a lot of infertility challenges. You know, so from 2010 up until 2017, you know, we went through a lot of miscarriages. We went through a lot of failed IUIs, a lot of surgeries, a lot of exploration. Our first daughter was born in 2013 via IVF.
Okay.
And after that, we were like, okay, we've been through all this. We know what it is. We knew we wanted to have more children, and we just thought, we've got this figured out. So we went to have more, and just hit another series of unexpected challenges and health issues and roadblocks and more miscarriages and things of that. And so we found out that if we wanted to grow the family, we were going to have a gestational carrier to carry our embryos. So that was a whole, journey in itself to, find what that even is, and then find a person and lawyers and legal, and about a year. And but we were committed, and so we went through that process. We decided we were going to move forward. We found a gestational carrier, and we went to transfer 2 embryos. And this was, oh God, what year is that? 20, must have been 20, was 2016? No. They were born in 2016. 2015. I was at Super Bowl 50 when these embryos were transferred. I was working at the Super Bowl. And
not much going on.
Yeah. So, so after all this, we're excited, we're anticipating, and we find out that in fact, our gestational carrier is carrying twins. So we're over the moon. And A week later, we find out that my wife is now pregnant after everything we've been through, all this medicine. And she was actually pregnant when we did the embryo transfer. So we are now expecting triplets. And yeah, so that was a crazy, crazy time. So here we are expecting triplets. We have a gestational carrier that actually lives in Dallas. We live in Denver. My wife's pregnant. We're trying to, get her home ready, understand what we're going to do. Exciting, up and down emotion, just craziness. So they were literally due a week apart. And we had this whole master plan that we would actually travel to Dallas. And when the gestational carrier was going to have a scheduled C-section, they were going to schedule my wife to deliver, and we'd have, triplets born on the same day in Dallas. So as we were leading up to that, it was getting close. I was just talking to my wife about this because it's like, if she hears, I better make sure I get all these facts right. But, we had a baby shower. Our friends and family threw for us. That was amazing on a Saturday. We had just finished construction. Our basement was finished because we had planned on having an au pair move in with us to support. And that month, so that was Sunday. Monday, we got a call and found out that our daughter had passed away in our gestational carrier in the womb. And just, world comes crashing down. It's like the worst call you can imagine. So we rush home. We're trying to figure out what's going on. She's still carrying our son. They want to keep him in as long as possible. So we were trying to figure out what to do. And then on that Thursday, we got the call in the morning that she was being rushed into an emergency C-section. So they delivered our daughter and our son. We literally got the call at 8 in the morning on a Thursday, and we were in Dallas at noon that day. My wife got on the plane. We met our daughter. We met our son, and fortunately, he had no complications. I think I shared with you. We met an amazing organization called Now I Lay Me Down to Sleep, and that organization provides photographers at infant loss. So they had already taken all these amazing, beautiful photos of them together and our daughter, and then we had our daughter our oldest daughter at the time was 3.
Okay.
So she was with us, and we went through this experience of shock and grieving and not knowing what to do. And I mean, that was almost a blur. It's like you can't even fathom what's happening as you're just running through it. And at the meantime, my wife is pregnant. She's due in 2 weeks. So we flew down on a Thursday. We literally flew back on Saturday. And then the following Sunday, she delivered our daughter, Cassidy. So Corbin is our son. He was born on September 22nd. Cassidy was born on October 2nd. And our daughter that passed away. So everyone in my wife's family is named with a K. So our daughter that passed away, her name is Carmen with a K. And so, a week later, she delivers Cassidy, and then, you come home and you're excited. You've got, well, first off, we had to bring a newborn to the hospital, Corbin. That was jumping through hoops so that he could be there with us. She's delivering. And then, we're simultaneously trying to plan a funeral and understand what that looks like. And so it was, obviously an extremely challenging, just hard time. So that was in the fall. And then that January was when this new role became available, and I was being entertained for the position. And as you can imagine, we just been through, trying to decide, oh my God, should I go for the job? Should I not go for the job? It was going to change her life. Now I'm going to be on the road and travel. My wife's at home. So yeah, it was it's our story, and it was obviously hugely challenging to get through. We turned to our faith, and I wasn't a huge person of faith early on in my life, but throughout all that process, I certainly had found that, and friends and family and church, and faith got us through that. And we've done grief counseling, and we've shared our story And it's, and here we are, that our twins are going to be 4 this September and October. So yeah.
Wow. Oh, chef, that I think blur or like just doesn't even do it justice. I can't imagine juggling all the emotions that you all were juggling all simultaneously.
Oh
Um,
yeah, it was yeah, I mean, you're on high, you're on low, you're no one's at the same place, right? That was really hard for us, recognizing that neither one of us were going to be in the same place at the same time.
yeah.
And so, I mean, sometimes we were, but um, yeah, it was intense.
Is there anything, so you've done, I appreciate you saying that you guys did some grief counseling, things like that. You have your community, you've got your church. I mean, you're utilizing a lot of great tools to
Mhm.
keep you together. I know that when we've had moments of trauma in our life, our mission becomes just staying together. Just like
Mhm.
whatever we go through, trauma has an ability to create some level of separation or whatever that is. So we're like, whatever we do, we're going to come out of this stronger together. And was there something in particular that seemed to work for you and your wife the most? Was it the counseling, or maybe it was just all encompassing, all these different things you did?
Yeah, it was all encompassing. The organization that we met, the Now I Lay Me Down to Sleep, they once you're a part of that organization, they do some annual events where they bring all these families together. And we weren't sure. We were a little hesitant, to be honest, at year one. It was kind of, this event just happened to be right around the first year anniversary. But we went to it and found it to be extremely supportive, and just this, you're surrounded by, this amazing number of families that have gone through the same thing. And until you're in it, you don't realize how often that these, tragic losses are occurring and how many people are dealing with it.
Yeah.
And just meeting people and understanding their story, and everybody's story is a little bit different. We actually share, I think I'm probably easier to talk about it. We ended up sharing our story with that organization. We did an interview with that organization, and we actually shared our story at one of their events in person. And I think that was very healing for both of us.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Well, it sounds like you did it as well as you could, and
Hmm.
you're able to, sometimes both grieving and celebrating are hard to do at the same time. You don't know which one to pay more attention to and what feels right and what feels wrong. But I'm glad that you were able to celebrate and honor these, your beautiful kids and mourn it, simultaneously. So, and do everything you were doing, take a new chance, take a new risk. I mean,
Right.
cheers to you and your wife, chef. Unbelievable. And your kiddos. Let's see, anybody else, any questions? Kaya, so proud to know you, chef. I think most are. Um, you said when the new role came up, amidst all you were going through, you talked to your wife. It's now lots of travel, a new set of skills, a new kind of stuff. And you said, you know what, let's try it. I don't want regret. I don't want to look back on this. Are you someone who lives with regret? I can't necessarily see that, but are there choices you didn't take in the past that made you in this moment say, you know what, I'm
Hmm.
not going to pass that up again?
No, it's never been posed to me that way. No, I don't think so. I don't feel that, but I think I recognize that this was a huge opportunity, that I had put in a lot of work, a lot of sacrifice, and this was kind of, an opportunity to be recognized for that. And just that particular instant, that particular opportunity, I definitely felt if I didn't go for it and try it, and we basically talked and said, I can fail at it, because it's too much for the family. And I, I made the commitment to my wife that if she raised the hand and said, no, I need you, I was going to be there. And she, made the same commitment back to me that said, you got to do this. You have got to go, and you have my support. And, in a lot of ways it was challenging, but in a lot of ways, it provided different opportunities.
Yeah,
When I wasn't on the road, I was working from home,
cool.
and finding new time and new opportunities to maybe walk out of the home office and go have lunch with them.
Sure.
In a lot of ways, I mean, when you work in these large stadiums, convention centers, these all food service, right? They're hugely demanding hours, whether it's a restaurant or not. Everybody makes a huge sacrifice to their family, and we love our jobs, and we're there. So yeah, it was just had to reorganize and restructure, and we made it through.
You went for it.
Yeah, went for it.
I think that's so key. When the opportunity arises, sometimes we wait for things and the opportunity comes and we're nervous to just go, to run through that door. And, for anyone watching, one of our buddies that we've connected with, Dave Turner with Tabletop Journal, talks about second chances. He's offering to the industry right now self-help and second chances, because there's a lot of people who find themselves without the jobs they've held for 1, 2, 3, 20 years. And
Right.
they're trying to figure out, okay, maybe this is a second chance for me to try something I hadn't and go do something. So, just an encouragement to everyone who finds himself in that spot. If there's an inkling in you, if there's an opportunity that presents itself, go and run. Hear from the chef, try it. It's what's the worst if you try it? Go for it. You can live standing tall, and, encourage everybody to do that. Was there, speaking of chefs and the sacrifices that chefs make, the grueling hours, when was the moment that you knew you wanted to be a chef?
Yeah, always. There was never anything else.
Wow.
I grew up on the south side of Chicago in a small Italian neighborhood. My father was his parents came over, and unfortunately my mother and my father separated, but we were surrounded by other family members, and my mom's side of the family, they love to cook, and I was always around food, and just seeing that hospitality and how food brought comfort. Growing up with a single mom, if I wanted to eat, I would go cook something. But I always loved it. I was washing dishes in a restaurant at 13 years old, and just went for it. I from always.
Is it the creation part that you get to create something out of nothing that you can, is it watching someone's face or their body almost melt when they put something incredible in their mouth, and that kind of moment? What do you know what it is?
Yeah.
Can you dial in on what you loved so much?
No, I think it's all of that. Definitely the creativity, letting your imagination go wild, playing with different things. There's artists in all of us, right?
Yeah.
But really that, what that comfort that food brings to everybody, and every massive celebration, every big event in your life there's food.
Yeah.
And just being able to, whether you're going to comfort somebody with a bowl of chicken noodle soup, or throw a party for somebody, and I just love that, love entertaining, and so yeah.
Awesome. Oftentimes we talk here about finding joy, the thing that fills our tank, becoming a power plant, knowing what fuels you, filling you up, and then that goes out, outward. What fills you up when you're not cooking? Although maybe it's cooking. What fills your tank when you're not at work? Let's put it that way.
Yeah. So, I've got hobbies and things I enjoy. I love to play golf, although I blew out my back at the beginning of the summer. So here I am with COVID. I'm good now, but I got to get the COVID-15 off. But I love fishing. I love the outdoors. I love getting out and getting into the mountains and hiking and all of that. But ironically, it is cooking. We're working from home now. We're doing these Zoom things. When COVID first started, and my kids enjoy cooking. I didn't tell you this, but my oldest daughter, her name is Kira, and we opened up Kira's Cafe for 8 weeks in the neighborhood. And I've never opened a restaurant, so I said, okay, I'll look back, maybe no regrets. But my daughter, every Sunday morning, we put out a menu, and we had 6 families in the neighborhood. We cooked for about 30 people every Sunday morning, and they came and picked up, and she got to help make the menu and what she wanted. And I found myself doing more baking, which if some of my staff were watching, they'd be laughing. But Yeah, no, I mean, I definitely just cooking and then cooking with the kids and seeing their excitement. That's certainly been something I've really enjoyed.
Oh, what a gift. That is awesome. Talk about great dad time and giving her something to love.
Mhm.
Man, I love it. Jeanette is saying, Chef, thank you for sharing your story. Kristen, thank you for sharing your story. So inspiring. You're touching a lot of people, Chef. What is there's a lot of people out there looking for work right now, figuring out whether it's their second chance or how they get back into an industry they love. Any words? I'm sure there's people, that in your world that have been furloughed for a time or whatever. We all
Oh
know
yeah.
stadiums that aren't having fans right now, and that's hard. What are your words of encouragement to people right now who find themselves in that spot, trying to figure out what's next, or,
Yeah, yeah. As you can imagine, we've had to make a lot of tough decisions. I've had to lose some team members, and we have a lot of our own employees that are trying to figure out what they're doing as our business struggles to come back. I was thinking about this, and I was thinking about as I shared the story, it just made me reflect and think when my wife and I were in that situation. I mean, it seemed endless. It seemed like we were never going to get to the other side. There was no hope, and it was crushing at times. And I think sometimes, even myself, I find myself during this COVID, like you're trying to stay positive, but my goodness, is this going to go on forever? And I think just recognizing that this is temporary. And while it may be a longer temporary than we all want, it's coming back. And everything we've talked about people loving food and all these, events in their lives. And, that's not going to go away. The demand for us to provide hospitality, to provide, entertainment, to provide, these memories, that there's no way that's ever going away. So it's coming back, and it might be longer than we'd like, and it might test us more than we think we're capable of. But I couldn't imagine being able to survive what I went through, and I can tell you there is another side. So we are going to get through this.
oh man, I love it. You might get me teary. Um, this too shall pass. And like we tell everyone, I found, moments in my life where it seemed like the end was near for whatever reason. I could not see any light in the tunnel. We encourage everyone, and I would say, listen to Chef. You always have more. There is always more strength available in you than you recognize. And even when you're riding high and you're feeling good, there's more. You've got more. It's like this well that as you learn to tap into and believe in yourself. And frankly, it's moments, Chef, like, no one ever likes to hear it. When someone's in a tough spot and someone's like, oh, but this will make you stronger. I mean, in those moments, I've learned to keep my mouth shut when people are going through a particularly tough time. But it turns out that oftentimes that's the truth. When you look back at that moment, you learn just what you and your wife and your family were capable of. And now that you find yourselves here, you're like, you know what? I've done this before. I've fought through. I didn't see the light, but we made it. And that really does give you a perspective and a resilience in the now when you've gone through it before.
Right. Right.
Yeah. Goodness gracious. Okay. Is there, one of the things, we've got a couple more minutes. Let me see if there's any other questions. What about Taz? Taz works for Walmart corporate out of Bentonville. What about an inspirational cookbook from all this? I would buy it. Taz? That's a good idea. Maybe we should collect a bunch of awesome recipes that maybe even came from stories, like a chicken noodle soup kind of thing when people are down. Maybe there's those meals that exist that all our members go to in those moments where they need that. Maybe that's what we do. Taz,
Yeah.
go baby. I love it. Good thinking. That's creativity. How do you define, one of the goals for everyone here is to give them a sense of empowerment. I mean, to teach a person to fish. We love encouraging people here and offering community here, but it's also giving tools so that people can test this out for themselves and figure out how they define success and then get to pursue it. How do you define success in your life?
I think success comes in a lot of different forms. I mean, I got 3 little kids at home right now. Sometimes success is just keeping them alive,
Sure.
getting to getting to the next day. Especially with the stress of school and all that. For me, I wanted to be able to be successful in my career and simultaneously successful with my family. I didn't want to give up one for the other. It takes obviously a tremendous amount of work and commitment. But just, every day, I mean, that's one of the reasons I mentioned I like to make boxes and check them off.
Yeah.
There's days where I feel like, wow, I can attack and I can check 12 things off my list. And that'll be, a success. But I also recognize there's days where I just know, what, today I'm gonna recognize it's gonna be a success if I check off one thing on this box.
Yep.
And so I think there's every level and just giving yourself the ability to do that and to redefine it, whether it's daily, monthly, yearly. And then also adjusting what it is. What I thought was success, what success might have been in my 20s isn't what it was going to be in my 30s. Certainly isn't what it is now in my 40s.
Yeah.
So yeah, and if anything, I think what I recognized as I've come along as well is actually when you get that box checked or you make this achievement, actually appreciating it and not just instantly going to the next one. And finding that further one to really, allow yourself to self-appreciate your accomplishments. And I think earlier on, I didn't do that. I was just like, okay, that one's done. Next.
Is there something you do to celebrate those accomplishments?
Now it's probably cooking a dinner with the family or, taking them out, maybe going somewhere special. Someone's knocking on my office door now.
You can take it. It's so good.
Yeah, but no, so, definitely taking my wife out and, I certainly recognize I would not have all of this success without her. So,
Yeah.
really having her celebrate in those achievements with me because they're equally hers.
So great. You are a team.
Absolutely.
I love it. Is there a movie that just melts you, that makes you cry?
Yeah, I saw that question. I was thinking about it, and only because I shared my story. I don't know if you ever watched the show This Is Us.
Yeah.
That came out right when we were going through our journey. So that's a story about triplets in loss, and adoption. And my wife and I, we sat there watching. I mean, just the flood works, and but we love it. And yeah, so I don't know about a movie, but This Is Us, we can't sit through without crying.
Oh my gosh, I'll bet. I forgot that first episode kind of tells that story, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh man, goodness gracious. Lastly, is there a quote that you sort of, that when you need to go, you need to get motivated, that sort of always comes to mind, that sort of burned in you for whatever reason because it moved you to such a degree at some point in your life?
Yeah, I don't think it's any like awe-inspiring, man. It's out there, but I've always had on my desk the Henry Ford, whether you think you can or you can't, you're right.
Yep.
And just how powerful when you really just think about that and analyze it. How sometimes we can be our worst detractors, and yet we are capable of so much. So just keeping that in the forefront always and recognizing, that's been powerful for me.
Oh, I love it. Talk about mindset. Just half the battle is just believing you can, I guess, right?
Absolutely.
Chef, I think whoever said it, Shannon Solomon, I think, said you're a superhero. And I think and there were a lot of other people who argued that tonight, who offered that and said, Chef, you're a superhero. I think you are. You know what? There's one more question. Chris,
Sure.
Chris Filari. Hello, Chef. Do you see a rise in requests for plant-based / plant-forward menu items in stadium menus?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think I think if anything, this whole pandemic has given us all a sense of perhaps, a healthier lifestyle might be beneficial, and maybe better balance that. But there's the need for the different diets and the different consumers and what everyone's looking for is grown over the years, and we've seen that. I think we're all better educated. We all see this as opportunity. So yes, without a doubt, when we go to work in our environment, we want to take care of everyone. Sure. And have a balanced menu. So without a doubt, for sure.
Cool, awesome. Kaylee Lambert says, you're smashing it, Chef. Listen, I want to thank you for not everyone has the courage to be as vulnerable with their story as you've been with us. And these moments, from my limited perspective, are really, really valuable. Maybe the most valuable moment of any of these conversations is moments like that where you share the hard stuff. Because I think sometimes when people have a title or a role, or we look up to them on LinkedIn or wherever, you don't understand everything going on. And so I think it's great, and every person watching can relate to you in a new way, and see what you've overcome and the way you've done it. And hopefully it's offering a whole lot of insight and wisdom for anyone going through challenges right now. Stick with your family if you can. Do it together, communicate, define what winning, what success looks like, whether it's as a family, whether it's as an organization, or you individually. It sounds like you guys are making all the right moves there. So thanks a lot for coming on. I really appreciate it.
Well, thanks for inviting me.
Oh my gosh. We're wishing you and all our friends at Centerplate the best. We hope stadiums reopen. We hope conventions start happening again. I would love to start going to some of those and traveling. Sure. And being at shows and being in stadiums. So we'll hope that everybody, don't forget, you can post more questions in the group. Chef Carmen can answer them after the fact. If you watch this video after it's already done, as we always tell you, if you're going through a tough time, reach out to someone you trust. Feel free to share your story. We all have those hard moments. No shame in that. You're welcome to reach out to me, anyone in the group. We're happy to support you. We're going to continue posting, talk about different job opportunities. If you're watching and you know someone in your area that's hiring, throw it in the group so that people who are looking can find that. We will share recipes from Centerplate's recipe challenge so that you can try those at home and maybe look as silly as me, or hopefully you get a great meal out of it. Thanks to Carmel for supporting this and sponsoring this tonight. Thank you all. Everybody, be well. Keep moving, and we'll see y'all next time. Chef, thanks so much.
All right. Thank you.
Talk soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.